There are two types of wire, multi-strand, made up of many strands, and solid core wire. Solid core wire suffers from metal fatigue. If it gets moved too often, it just breaks. Multi-strand wire does not suffer from metal fatigue in the same way. It is much better to use multi-strand wire where the wire is going to constantly move, such as the connection to our motors. Strip a small bit from the end of your multi-strand wire. Twist the end up nice and neat and tidy. Remember, always clean your soldering iron. Daub a little bit of solder on the end to help with the heat transfer. Tin the end of the multi-strand wire. Break off a header pin. We're going to need 4 altogether. Tin the short end of the header pin. Your helping hands are really useful for this. Now join the wire to the header pin and heat up both of the tin surfaces to create a good solder joint. Put some heat shrink over the top, have a snug over the end, and shrink it down nice and snug. Be careful you don't overheat it and melt the end. Now we have 4 wires. We're ready to attach them to our motors and attach our capacitors across the motor connections. We need to be really careful here we don't overheat the motors, melt the plastic, or break anything inside from too much heat. So try and solder as quickly as possible. Solder the 2 wires onto the pins onto the motor. Bend your capacitor legs so that they're open and tin each end of the capacitor. Now, using your helping hands to hold them in place, solder the capacitor and the wires to the ends of the motor. Make sure everything's firmly connected. Bend the gap between the capacitor legs so that the motor housing can easily fit in between these when we insert the P9000 motors into our Tamiya gearboxes. And you're done, ready to plug into your robot.